This morning, the IDF announced that it had eliminated Anas Murad, the commander of Islamic Jihad's naval forces in Gaza City, and Ahmad al-Masri, an Islamic Jihad terrorist who participated in the October 7th massacre. It's easy to read such an IDF announcement and see it as nothing out of the ordinary after 9 months of war. But there was something that stood out to me. Islamic Jihad, that's the name of the group, which makes it clear what they stand for. Islamic Jihad has naval forces. Islamic Jihad has a simple and clear goal: the annihilation of Israel. A group that calls for the annihilation of Israel cannot be allowed to build up the ability to massacre Israelis. Israel can never again accept a situation where a radical Islamic terrorist group in Gaza has the ability to attack Israel. A terrorist group that has the ability to attack Israel will attack Israel. The concept of deterrence is not relevant here. That should be clear. We saw what happened on October 7th. Hamas invaded Israel not only by air and land, but also by sea. Hamas frogmen swim a short distance north in the Mediterranean Sea before coming ashore on a beach inside Israel and massacring defenseless Israelis who were on the beach. Israel can never again allow such a threat to develop in Gaza, which is a short swim away from Israeli beaches. Israel cannot allow Hamas or Islamic Jihad or any other terrorist group to regroup and rearm. With this goal in mind, the IDF is continuing its operations in Rafah along the Israeli-Egypt border in order to locate tunnels and destroy them. Something happened yesterday in Gaza that should be major international news, but isn't. This is the story. There is a humanitarian route in Gaza that aid trucks use when they drive from the Israeli border crossing into Gaza. There are Israeli soldiers stationed along the road inside Gaza. Yesterday, Hamas terrorists fired a missile at these Israeli soldiers. An Israeli soldier was wounded in the attack. The humanitarian route had to be closed for a few hours until the area could be secured. I did not see the UN publish a statement condemning Hamas for attacking the humanitarian route and blocking the delivery of aid to people in need. Why is that? Israel wants to see as much humanitarian aid enter Gaza as possible. In fact, so much aid has entered Gaza that it is piling up in the sun on the Gaza side of the border crossing. There are around 1,200 trucks worth of aid sitting inside Gaza. The United Nations and other aid organizations need to pick up the aid and deliver it. They are not doing that. Instead, what they are doing is blaming Israel for blocking aid. They are blaming Israel for blocking aid at the same time that Israeli soldiers are risking their lives to protect the humanitarian aid route. Hiding the truth helps nobody. The United Nations and every aid organization in Gaza need to tell Hamas, end the war that you started on October 7th, release the hostages, and let peace-loving Israelis and Palestinians begin to build a better future. The war that Hamas started on October 7th is not a local war between Hamas and Israel. Hezbollah and Lebanon joined the war on October 8th, and the war became a regional war fought on 7 fronts: Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Iran, and Yemen. There's something about the threat from Yemen that is not getting enough attention. The Houthi terrorist army in Yemen, with Iran's support, continues to threaten ships in the Red Sea that pass by Yemen. As a result of the threat of piracy, many shipping companies are not sending their ships through the Red Sea. The lack of shipping in the Red Sea is not just hurting Israeli businesses, it's hurting businesses everywhere in the world, but it is especially hurting Egypt, whose economy relies on revenues from the Suez Canal at the end of the Red Sea. The head of Egypt's Suez Canal Authority said that revenues fell by nearly $2 billion, a drop of almost 25% in the latest fiscal year. That's because ships in the Red Sea prefer to find a safer route that does not involve the chance of being hijacked by Islamic pirates in Yemen. Israel is on the front line of the October 7th war, but Israel is not the only country affected by the war that Iran's proxies are fighting. The October 7th war is a regional war that requires regional solutions. The sooner more countries realize this, the faster we can build a more peaceful Middle East. Now let's take some questions from our audience watching live on social media.
Ashley, it's 30 years to the day since the bombing of the Jewish Community Center in Buenos Aires, Argentina. We have many viewers in Argentina. What are your thoughts 30 years after this bombing, given what we now know about Iran and its place in the Middle East?
Look, Iran ordered it. Hezbollah carried it out. They want to kill Jews and they want to destroy Israel. They also bombed the Israeli embassy 2 years before. The threat from Iran and Hezbollah is not new. It's the same Iran and it's the same Hezbollah today. It's just proof. Thank you for that question.
It's a question from Instagram Live. Hamas and Islamic Jihad, what are their similarities and differences?
So basically, both organizations want the same thing, the annihilation and destruction of the state of Israel. Between them, there is an internal struggle. But both of them are built on the same radical Islamist ideology that they refuse to accept a Jewish state alongside, and both of them want to establish Sharia law. They both have religious ideologies, and they use their radical extremist religious ideologies to basically try to annihilate the state of Israel. Again, between them, there is a power struggle, but they are very similar in ideology.
We're getting a lot of questions also on your Instagram stories, including some difficult questions. This one comes from Hal, who writes, I agree Israel should defend itself, but how is carpet bombing children okay?
Great question. Israel is not carpet bombing children. Israel doesn't have the capability to carpet bomb Gaza. But I think the question that you're trying to ask goes deeper than that. And I think it's important to understand that nobody wants to see children dying in war. And it is very clear that who is to blame for this is Hamas, which is literally hiding underneath and behind Palestinian children. So once again, Israel is not carpet bombing, and more proof of that is the fact that Israeli soldiers are on foot, on the ground, going literally door to door, tunnel to tunnel, endangering their life. We have seen hundreds of Israeli soldiers killed because Israel is not managing this war from the air. It is there on foot, endangering our soldiers in order to minimize civilian casualties in Gaza.
Natasha on your Instagram stories is asking, what's your degree in?
So actually, my second degree is in counterterrorism and homeland security. And my thesis that I wrote many, many years ago was actually about the radical ideologies of the Muslim Brotherhood, which we know that that ideology is the same ideology that is behind Hamas. And so I happen to know quite a bit. And as somebody who studied the ideology, let me assure you, this is not about borders. This is not about politics. This is a fundamental radical ideology where they refuse to accept a Jewish state anywhere in the region.
There's a lot of commentary on social media about the Israeli Knesset passing a resolution opposing the two-state solution. What is your view on this activity?
Well, let's focus on substance rather than slogans. What is a two-state solution? What are two states? When we talk about two states, what would be the state that Israel would be sitting beside? Would it be America? Would it be Germany? Would it be a country that is democratic? Or would it be a terrorist state run by radical ideologies, as I just mentioned, of the Muslim Brotherhood? Would it be a proxy state of Iran? We will only be able to speak and to move forward once we actually have a partner that is willing to accept that the Jewish state is here and is not going anywhere. And the way to peace is to understand that we need to, that the Palestinians need to accept that there will be a Jewish state and they need to live alongside it.
There's a question also on your Instagram stories, or rather on our Instagram Live from Idan. What is the story with Bella Hadid?
I'm sorry for laughing because I can't not laugh anymore. So Adidas just chose Bella Hadid, who is a well-known anti-Semite and somebody who spreads lies about Israel and Israel's history all the time. Adidas just chose her as the spokesmodel for a new sneaker that they are launching. It's actually a limited edition, which is a throwback to a sneaker they launched for the Munich 1972 Olympics. Those were the same Olympics where 11 Israeli athletes were massacred by Palestinian terrorist groups. And so how ironic that Adidas would choose a Palestinian who is spreading lies and anti-Semitic comments about Jews and Israel to be the spokesperson. So at this point, all I can do is laugh, to be honest.
Okay, we'll take about 2 more questions. A lot of people on the Instagram Live are asking for the latest information about the hostages. Is there a hostage deal in the works? What do we know about the hostages? Can you share anything about that?
So, of course, anything we may know about the situation of specific hostages should not be shared here. But I think what's most important to understand is that we have very, very little information because the Red Cross is still not being allowed to visit, and we still don't have lists about who is alive and who is not. There is very advanced stages right now of negotiation for a deal. We are hoping and praying that this deal goes through and that this deal will also be able to bring security to Israel. There is a lot of internal pressure, and we just ask you to keep the external pressure to make a deal happen.
This is the last question. It's via your Instagram stories. Summer holidays are starting everywhere. Does Israel need volunteers for farm work?
So I don't know specifically about farm work, but I do know that Israel is always looking for volunteers, and you're more than welcome. I'm so excited and happy to hear that you'd like to come and volunteer. What I would recommend is just reach out through the local Jewish community wherever you are and ask them if they can get you in touch with organizations where you can come volunteer. There are so many different things you can come do in Israel, and I do welcome you to come and see for yourself what a beautiful country this is and how spiritual and meaningful it is to the Jewish people everywhere. So thank you for that question. I think that's about all that we have for today. If you'd like to continue asking questions, I invite you to follow on social media the Israeli Spokesperson Citizens Office, as well as my own Instagram account, Ashley Waxman Bakshi. You can find me and ask me questions, and we will see you on Sunday, same time, 3 o'clock Israel time, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a good weekend.